There are two keywords that are extremely important for you to understand. One of them is continue, which is shown here, and the other one is break. So let's understand the continue. So to understand that, let's say that you are required to print out all the numbers from 0 to 10 which are odd. So all odd numbers between the number 0 and the number 10 you're required to print out. Well, there are multiple ways of doing it, and one of the ways that you can do using the continue statement is shown here. So you have the for loop starting from 0 ending at 10, because all the way up to 10 we need to do. And this is the update statement. And here is the if block inside the for loop. What it does is if I modulo 2 is equal to 0, which means if it's an even number, then you're saying continue this loop. So when it encounters a continue statement, what it does is it straight away jumps after this statement is executed. It will not go further, so it will not print this at all. Instead, it jumps to this update statement, updates to the next integer, and then it checks this conditional again, and once again comes inside this block. So when it comes inside this block a second time, then obviously this conditional won't be true anymore, and that's when it's going to come to this statement and it will print this statement. And again it will move on to this updater, and then it checks for the conditional, and on it goes. So what it means is every alternate execution of this block is hitting this continue statement when this statement is no more executed. So that's what happens. So let's now first of all save this and then run this. There you go. So you have the numbers printed out 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Next, another important keyword in Java is the break keyword. So when do you use the break? Well, typically breaks are a must when you have a while loop which is having a conditional which is hard-coded to true. You will come across situations where you want to be in an infinite while loop till the point there is a conditional which breaks that loop and the program of execution moves outside of this block. So the moment it encounters a break, it doesn't execute any of the statements after the break is encountered, and instead it will jump out of the block. The block ends here, so it will jump out of the block and it will continue on with whatever statements are after this block. So that is the break statement. So let's say that you're now going to put one more statement, which is system.out.println outside of the loop. So what's happening in this program is we first initialize I equal to 1, and then we have an infinite loop, so to say, till it encounters a break. And of course it will encounter a break, otherwise this will be a runaway program. So you enter into this block, and if I is divisible by 5, then you break out of this loop. Otherwise, you print out the number I and you increment that I so that it keeps going back into the loop. Now, if you compile this and then run this, you will see it printed out 1, 2, 3, and 4, because all the way up to 4, it never went into this if block and it did not encounter the break. So it kept going back into the loop again and again, all the way till when I was incremented to 5. When I was incremented to 5, then this conditional became true and it went into this if block, and then it encountered this break. And once it encountered the break, the other two statements were no longer executed. Instead, it jumped out of this block into this statement, and that's when it printed outside of the loop. Now, notice one more thing. For this if block, I did not put this curly brace. I did not put this curly brace like the way I was doing previously. Well, this is a legal way of putting a statement after the if block if that is all the statement is. If you have only one statement after the if block, then you don't need to put this curly brace, even though it's advisable to put the curly brace so that you're not confused. But if you have more than one statement after the if block, then you must put the curly brace. Otherwise, only the first statement will be the one which is executed for the if block.